Hello, and welcome to Monumental, where we sit down with entrepreneurs, leaders, visionaries, and big thinkers making monumental change. Here's your host, Evan Holliday.
Chris, glad to have you on the show, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, Evan. I appreciate it.
Yes. So I'm really excited to dive into your story. Let's just kind of start from the very beginning of kind of who Chris is, what makes you you, and go from there.
Okay, great. Yeah. I'm an attorney by trade, all day. Married, 2 kids. Shout out to my wife, Shivani. She likes it when I do that. Started the real estate thing about 7 years ago and hit a slow progression into it with single family homes once a year or so. And then about 3 years ago is when we started scaling up, taking in people's money and really hitting the multifamily really hard. So Omaha, Nebraska is where I live with my wife. And then my partner also lives my business partner lives in Omaha, Nebraska, and served in the military and played some college football. And that's me, I guess.
All right, I love it, Chris in a nutshell. So diving into specifically why real estate? Why did you get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every podcast I've ever heard talks about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Well, that was me for sure. During law school, I read that book, and I felt at the time I didn't have the opportunity to perhaps capitalize on it. I now know that I was wrong. But while I was in the law school, I was also a part of the military through our ROTC program. So I couldn't really jump into the real estate at that time. So once I was done with my military obligation in 2013, that's when we jumped in. And look, it's the same approach to everybody. I just wanted to have some type of passive income that I could kind of trust that has a number of different returns that's outside of, trading my minutes for money. So I feel like everyone's kind of heard that, but passive income is the greatest income. And, not to sound, I don't want to sound like inconsiderate, but, even during times like this, people are struggling out there, and I have a heart for that. And we're able to help a lot of our tenants, but my passive income is still coming in. And I don't want to sound unthoughtful, or I don't want to sound like a jerk. What I'm saying is that's one of the main reasons why you get into something that's passive like this, is the money continues to come in. And you can help others do that as well. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's
right.
a million reasons why I like real estate.
So going into that a little bit more, what about that first real estate deal, that single family deal? What was that like for you, and what kind of did it click a light bulb in your head? You're like, oh, this is what it's like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we found a single family home. This was 7 years ago. We bought it for $100,000. We put about 30 into it. When we refinanced it, it was worth about $185,000. So we pulled back all of our money. We owned the house outright and rolled that money onto the next property. 4 years later and 4 houses later, I was like, there's got to be a quicker way to get to this financial freedom everyone's talking about. And I'm learning the banks. I'm learning how to do these things. I'm swinging the hammer myself. I'm doing all of that. I wonder if this will work for a 20 unit. And so we just jumped into a 20 unit and bought it for 750, put about 150 into it. It refinanced at about 1.2 million. So we pulled back all of our 900,000 that we had into it. And now we own a 20 unit scot-free. Right? We scaled, of course, using contractors, property management, but that jump from 1 to 20 with the same exact process has now interested us in jumping up to the 40s and 50s and 80s and plus hundreds, because it's all the same process. It's meticulous. It's different strategies, if you will, because the numbers jive out a little differently, but the concept is the same. And that's why we continue to grow and continue to look for bigger and bigger deals.
That's great. And I think you're exactly right. I mean, it's a continuous kind of a gradual learning process where you're like, hey, I did this same process, this, what they call the BRRRR strategy. I did it on a single family. Right. Why can't I do it on 20 single families that are all in one building? Right. If you think about it like that. And there are a lot of of things that you can transfer over. And also as you take those steps, you get more and more comfortable, because things get more inside of your comfort zone instead of outside of your comfort zone. Was there ever any point at which you're on your journey where you're like, hey man, like this is crazy. What am I doing? This is way outside of my zone.
Right. I mean, I think I don't want to overuse the word entrepreneur, but when you're doing these things on your own, when you're investing in property, you're not a part of this W-2 program where you just kind of show up and it's done for you. There's always that worry in the back of your head. What if this doesn't go right? What if I can't find the money? What if it's not managed correctly? But I mean, with great returns, there's always going to be those risks. So I'd be lying if I said that I never had second thoughts, but those were extremely short-lived. A water main breaks or plumbing issues, a little difficulty in filling a couple of vacancies for a short period of time. You're like, oh man, maybe this isn't the greatest ever, but those go away very quickly. And then you quickly realize that actually what happened wasn't really that big of a deal. And if you planned it correctly, you're taken care of and you're mitigated on those. So every once in a while, but no way, I'm very quick to realize that this is the way to go.
So, and as far as what you're doing for your kind of your day job, call it, how has that been able to transition over into what you're doing in the multifamily space?
That's a good question. I'm an attorney by trade. I'm a family law attorney, so I deal with divorces and custody and certainly some things that aren't necessarily the happiest, but I think the ability to kind of look at what people are going through and approach it from an empathetic position really helps in my rapport building, I would say, when it comes to sellers or even the positions of sellers. So even if I'm not speaking directly with the seller, whether it's through an agent or whatnot, I can still approach it through an empathetic approach because I feel as though I'm certainly forced to do that every day at my job. I think the legal background helps. I mean, we still hire attorneys, SEC attorneys and whatnot to help us, even entity building attorneys. We help to help us because one, I don't have the time to sit down and be drafting all those documents if I have a full-time job and a full-time real estate job. But two, that's not my area of expertise. I tell people all the time, you wouldn't go to a heart surgeon to do surgery on your ear. I mean, it doesn't make, everyone has their own specialty. So, but I would say that it helps me read the documents. I fully understand a lot of the purchase agreements and some of the things. And the flexibility of my job allows me to do a lot of time-wise, allows me to do a lot of real estate investing. So
yeah,
those are different ways it helps.
And as far as what you're working on now, and you're working with investors to fundraise for those deals as well?
Yes. Yep. We're raising funds for all of our deals now. I mean, there are smaller one-offs like 12 units and, even some units in the 20s. We're able to refinance previous deals that we had, my partner Colin Schwartz and I, and just roll those funds forward on our refinances. And we're the 50-50 owners of those. When it comes to the larger deals like, 70s and 80s and even larger than that, we're taking in additional money from people. Yeah, we have investors.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think that's another learning step in the process is if you really want to, you don't need to at the end of the day take investors. It just helps scale your ability to do bigger deals, right. Have more economies of scale.
I make fun of that. The first 4 houses I got, single family, it took a year for each one. But I mean, at least that built experience, not only for me on moving up to bigger projects, but also experience in the eyes of the investors. It wasn't like I just jumped in and said, this is my first purchase to 78 unit. Are you guys interested? So, no, you're right. That's a whole new learning curve. But just keeping them happy, everyone stays happy. So
what is next for you and growing your real estate side?
Well, I mean, we just continue to, believe it or not, even during this time right now, we have a couple of projects right now that many people are slowing down. We're not slowing down. So we want to continue to grow. We're building out our team. We're actually looking to hire additional members within our team. So our goal really is to continue to grow the team and purchase bigger and bigger units or complexes. My partner has a property management company that manages a large number of our properties in town here in Omaha. So he's building that out as well, and they're learning different intricacies there. And, we just want to continue to grow. And as we continue to invest not only in Omaha, but in surrounding areas, Kansas City, Sioux Falls, Des Moines, we're slowly having in the back of our heads the idea that we want to start giving back even more and more. So that's kind of on the horizon for us, is the ability to obviously please our investors, but then start using some of these benefits to actually give back. And so that's in the very near future for us as well.
That's awesome. I want to dive into, you mentioned team building. What does that look like for you guys as far as number of people? What are the roles? How are you doing that?
Yeah. So, right now I'd say that, formally within our entity, Park Ave Capital, it's just Colin Schwartz and I. We're looking to make an additional hire right now. And some of the things that we're looking for in additional hire is the ability to help with a lot of the due diligence, a lot of the communication with whether it's going to be lenders or even some of the day-to-day investor correspondence. I would still be qualifying them or having that phone call when it comes to accredited investors and whatnot, but just helping with the funds and shoveling that around. We're getting to grow so quickly that adding that third person is going to be huge for us. Colin on the property management side, he's hiring somebody, I feel like, every month. A lot of new maintenance, helping him, not only fill the deals, but deal with client interaction or tenant interaction. So different hires, obviously, for property management, but, with Park Ave Capital, we're just looking for somebody who can help do some of the things that we've always done. But now that we're doing things like hopping on Monumental podcast or meeting for Zoom calls, as we're all getting used to with new investors, we need someone to help us on the back end. And so we're actually looking to hire somebody within the next week or so.
That's awesome. And how are you going about finding them and hiring them?
Word of mouth. We have a real estate meetup. We're placing some things out there. Bigger Pockets we're active on. LinkedIn we're active on. We haven't necessarily been. That's funny you say that, because the decision to actually hire somebody was made yesterday. So we haven't really hit. We've already been contacted by a few people, but it's going to be mainly a social media approach. Just kind of see, because the venues, the areas we're in, like Bigger Pockets or LinkedIn or these real estate meetups, those are the kind of people we're interested in working with, because they're like-minded and they're interested.
Yeah,
and I think one of the things they'll benefit from is being able to bounce their ideas or ask questions from Colin and I, because we have more experience than they do, but they're hungry, and I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I like that. It's finding tribes of people that you're already invested in, you already have your network there, and tapping into those, because you're right. I mean, if you can quickly qualify and say, okay, this person is of like mind, they're driven, they're go-getter, they're on the same path as we are, and they want to learn and they want to grow, then that's allows you to bring them up to speed a whole lot more quickly.
No, you're right.
And also, just hitting on team building, it's powerful to empower other people on your team, because at the end of the day, you can do a lot on your own or in a partnership, but if you really want to grow something big and make massive monumental impact, it really takes kind of a village approach.
No, yeah, we talked about that. We're talking about sharing GP portions and everything. I mean, I want people to, the more buy-in you have, if you know the harder your work, you're going to get compensated more. It just benefits everybody. So we'll get some help and they'll learn the game, if you will, but also be compensated for it financially. I mean, everybody benefits, like you said. So you're right. I think that's important if you're going to get a good team member. So no, you're right. We certainly are interested in doing that.
I love it. Well, going back to what you said about really, the future of Park Ave and what you're doing is going to allow you to really have more impact. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, the property management side of the house has already been doing a great job of, I think it's been up to $10,000 now of, another one of my property management companies is doing this as well, but they're giving back to the tenants. They're providing them with coupons or items that help them save money locally, whether it's groceries or restaurants. And that's helping the tenants during this time right now. So it's a small, on the financial side, it's a small amount of money out of our pocket, which pays dividends. We have calculated because they're actually now paying their rent. They're happy with not only where they live, and they typically always have been, but even during these trying times, they're happy with the amount of correspondence we put out to them, and we're showing we're trying to help. Colin did a good job of raising money for one of the local homeless shelters recently. And we're looking to start doing a lot more of that, whether it's through the meetups or whether it's through even pushing straight out of Park Ave Capital. It has certainly been, here's the second time I'll sound like a jerk today. It's certainly been a great financial feeling the last few years, but I think you lose sight of it. It's all about you. And if you help give back to people, and that reward is so much more important. So we're already doing that right now. We're looking at trying to help some education even. That's a process. The legal nonprofit process we're thinking about, that's a process. But as we continue to grow, which is, exponentially, we're at 600 units now in just under 3 years, which people have grown faster, but that's not slow. And that's allowed us to quickly learn things as we go. And one of those things we're now trying to quickly learn is the most formal and monumental way, if you will, to give back. So
I love it. I love it. Throwing the monumental in there left and right. I love it. I love that you guys are doing that. And I think that's spot on. Is like, look, at the end of the day, the main thing we have is, our name, our reputation first off, and then the relationships we have and the impact we have. And money is great, and money can do a lot of good, and it can be used as a vehicle to create opportunities and impact for a lot of families, for your residents, even like you said. I love that you guys are doing that, especially right now with COVID-19. I mean, you're exactly right. It pays massive dividends. It costs you all very little, and really it's an investment, right? It's a long-term investment where you're creating better relationships with your current tenants, and maybe they want to stay there longer, and they saw that in a time of craziness and uncertainty. You all were there and communicating regularly and giving them some help.
Yeah, we're getting great response. I mean, the tenants are very happy, going out of their way to message us. I mean, with property management, it's easy to see negative Google reviews and whatnot, because it's very rare someone would say, I'm going to log on to Google today and leave a positive message for my property management. Of course, if they get evicted or if the next door neighbor is a jerk, that's an easy complaint. But we're actually seeing many positive messages. If it's not through Google reviews, it's directly to our property management group. They're just extremely happy with the way we've handled this, and we're working with them on payments and spreading things out. And in the end, we have to pay our mortgage still, but that whole empathy thing is going a long way for sure.
Yeah, I love it. And speaking of, you mentioned 600 units in 3 years. Yeah. How would you recommend others listening right now grow like that?
I think partnering is huge, and I think coaching is huge. If I don't have coaching, if I don't have partnering, I wouldn't be at 600 units. Now, I think I really lucked out with Colin, because we're both just extremely driven. Sometimes we annoy each other because of how driven we are. I've gotten plenty of emails from Colin at 3 o'clock in the morning. And he's gotten a lot from me as well. But finding the right partner, and I partnered with a number of people even before the formal syndication started, and they all went great. And some of them are still going, and those go very well. And they'll probably continue to grow as well. Not like Park Ave Capital, but some of the things we have going on the side. I'd say that getting a feel for your partner is huge. And they can help with money. They can help with management. They can help with experience. But if you try to, that leverage is huge for you. If you try to do everything yourself, it's impossible. And then coaching. What's the saying? I know you know this saying, success leaves a trail, or success is a path.
Leaves clues, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, turning decades into days. I mean, I am pretty obsessed with listening to podcasts and books and online. I'm always educating myself. And I feel like I do a pretty good job of it. But there's only so much time in the day. And if you can leverage somebody else's experience or knowledge in an area with a coach, that's huge. If you want to grow quickly, find good partners, find a good coach. And I should caveat that with that seems relatively self-serving, because we have a real estate company where we have partners and ask people to invest with us. But if you're asking how I grew so quickly, it's because of partners. That's just a fact. And we also have a coaching program, mentorwithchris.com. It doesn't have to be me that coaches. I have my own coach. In fact, I have mentors in more than one area of my life. So it doesn't have to be me. But if the question is how have you grown so quickly, those are the answers. You just got to find someone you fit, whether it's a good fit with a partner or a good fit with the coach, and just truck it forward and, get it done. And that's how you grow quickly. If that's what you're interested in, of course.
Yeah, I love it. Dive into that. Let's dive into that a little bit more. What about, what advice would you have for those that are looking for a partner and finding the right partner, and then also looking for a coach and finding the right coach?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, there are plenty of people to partner with, right? And so you got to vet them like you would if you even wanted to hang around them. And I don't mean, is this type of guy that I can have a beer with or a coffee with? That's not necessarily what I'm saying. Sometimes that's not the best route, but there's a number of questions you should ask a partner. Not only get an idea of their experience, just get to know them as a person. I think that you need to hear their experience, ask them things they've done in the past that, ask them a scenario that's maybe not gone the way they wanted it to and how they've handled that scenario. Ask them how they've handled this COVID situation. You had talked about earlier how we're going to reach out to different people to find someone to work in our group. Well, we're finding them in these venues, these mediums where we already know they're like-minded. So trying to find partners on Bigger Pockets and or a local real estate meeting or something, that is a much more probably lucrative route, if you will, than Craigslist or hoping that your sister's fourth cousin who knows how to build things is a good partner. Shameless plug, I would suggest you go to partneringchecklist.com. I think that's that's a free report we offer. That's a list of questions. I mean, it's a number of pages, and I would suggest you use this list, whether it's a real estate partner or whether it's someone you're going to have to take care of your lawn or babysit your kids. I mean, a number of those questions are versatile. It's just important to feel comfortable with who you're putting money into with. Now, on the coaching side, I'd say the same thing. I mean, there are a number of coaches out there who will offer a free setup call, kind of an idea and a way to feel each other out. And I think that that's important because you got to feel comfortable. Of course, on the coaching side, it's important that you actually dedicate yourself to the process. It's not like you just hand somebody money and then all of a sudden you have 600 units. You have to actually do what you're told and do what you're taught and put a lot of effort into it. But I think that getting that call 4 coaches and, bang out a bunch of questions with them, see what you feel comfortable with, and make a decision. Because if you're dedicated and you feel comfortable with the coach, then that's the way to go. I think that's the extremely important thing to do, is just have that initial introductory phone call and see how the comfort level is.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I think, us both having learned from a great coach, and having seen that impact in our own life, I think it is so powerful. And it, like you said, it turns that decades into days. You learn from somebody who's been there, who's seen a whole lot of different things, who's kind of been where you want to be, or where you want to go. And I think that's so powerful. And there's a little kind of story that I love. I heard it a while back, and I always love to share it. Is there was a Olympic hurdler, I forget his name, but he was always finishing 4th in the Olympics, which is great. He's 4th best in the world, but he's not getting a medal. And so he was finally going to his 4th Olympics. And it wasn't until that one where he decided, he's like, I need to switch this up. I need to hire a different coach. And the coach he hired, he's like, you notice when you come over the hurdles, your feet are just a little off. He's like, just move them 2 inches over so they're flat when you go over the hurdle. And just like that, the next year he won gold.
That's awesome.
And it's just those little 2-inch shifts, but it takes a coach who takes it from another perspective, who sees it differently, who sees it with a different lens, a different model of the world. And it just changes the way you see things and how you can massively grow or massively, expand it and expand your mind and expand your impact in a lot better, quicker way. So I completely wholeheartedly agree with you. Everybody listening right now, coaching and partnering, it really is. It's kind of like the back door to success in a lot of ways for both of them.
For sure. No, I agree. And sometimes they're one and the same. I mean, you don't have to actually link up with a coach financially, but you can view them almost as a partner because they're guiding you through this whole stretch. So no, you're preaching to the choir on that one. It's huge. I'll have a coach in different areas of my life the rest of my life. It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. So you mentioned you guys are kind of zigging when everybody is zagging.
Yeah.
As far as right now and going after and putting deals under contract. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think you just gotta be smart with it, right? So we're underwriting a little differently. We're underwriting at higher vacancies. We're underwriting at small to no raise in rents for the first year, for sure. I have one right now. We may not raise rents for a couple of years, but if it still makes sense when the numbers are done, then it's time to jump in. Making sure you have the right debt is huge. A lot of these people if you have some adjustable rates, or if you only have 1 year of interest only, or if it's not fixed for longer than 5, I'm not saying that's the worst case scenario, but we're not taking that on anymore at this time. We have plenty of times, but we're not taking that on anymore because it's just not worth the risk. So making sure you have really secure debt, whether that's some non-recourse stuff or at least a long fixed rate, maybe longer IO. But yeah, we have a complex up we have 2 under contract right now. We have 1 under contract and 1 that's really, really close right now. A third that we're going to close on in 3 weeks. And then we have 2 refinances right now where we're getting back 100% of our money. I mean, we're just trucking along. And I think that we're kind of lucky being in the Midwest. Perhaps we've been affected a little less than others, but that's kind of also the reason why we've been successful this entire time, is that we don't have to rely on the volatility of the coastal markets. And just being a little more conservative with the due diligence, but we haven't really seen an effect. We're getting paid by the tenants and we're finding deals out there. So I think in the next 3 to 12 months, we might see some of the operators who weren't perhaps doing it the way they should have. It's unfortunate, but maybe that's where we step in. I don't know.
So where are you typically finding your deals?
You mean the sources or the cities or both? I mean, a lot of the stuff we have is in Omaha, Kansas City, Sioux Falls. We've been really close on a couple Des Moines. Basically, we're about 3 hours radius of Omaha.
Yeah.
The majority of our units are in Omaha, and we manage the majority of those. We have a couple other side property managers too. As far as sources, agents, and even we have an individual who's doing a really good job of just cold calling people. It's amazing. I mean, we have the 38 units we're about to lock down in about 3 weeks. That was a cold call. And we got some seller financing on that, some unique approach to that because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
But we're also having bank lending on that. So the bank's allowing the seller financing, great terms. So agents and just finding people hungry to bring the deals. I mean, you had said earlier, how do you start growing? I think one of the things about partnering or getting in is maybe you don't have any money, but you have a phone. You can call some owners, and that's what one of our partners is doing right now. I mean, he also has money, but he's finding off-market deals that nobody knows about. Not today's off-market deals where they're still doing highest and best and narrowing it down to 3. It's basically this guy's just calling people, and he's successful at it. So maybe that's your role in a partnership, is just to find the deal. So it's a combination of both, I guess, agents and some off-market stuff because our partners are hungry. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, doing whatever it takes. I mean, I think brokers are a powerful resource. Yeah. But also if you can call direct and get it off market, then, keep doing it.
And then it helps you with the negotiating too. Nothing against agents. I wouldn't have half the deals I have, if not more, if it weren't for agents.
Yeah.
And if you find the right ones that are phenomenal to have on your team, if you will. But sometimes if they're not involved, just like attorneys, by the way, sometimes if the attorneys would just get out of the way, the two parties can just hash it out. I'm a huge proponent of that. And that can be said for real estate too. So
I like it. Well, Chris, I loved everything we dove into. I love your story. I love like hearing how you've grown so quickly and what is on the horizon and how you're zigging while everyone's zagging. I love it.
nice.
Let's jump into our monumental questions.
Okay.
What does success mean to you?
Oh, yeah. You know, I'd say, and I listened to your podcast before, so I knew these questions were coming. I should have been a little more prepared, huh? My success, my goal is to have money coming in that I don't have to worry about, that my family doesn't have to worry about, that generations down the line does not have to worry about, and that also allows us to help others in the community. That is success to me. And that's our ultimate goal, hands down. Yeah, we want 10,000 units in 10 years, but we want to spread that wealth and spread that love. And I'd like to do that not only within the family, but, you know, throughout the community. So that's what success means to me.
That's awesome. What about daily habits or morning rituals that you have?
I had been waking up at 4:44 every single day. I just had my second child 2 months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, exciting. So the 4:44 thing's been a little bit of a struggle to get back into, especially with working from home, because he's up every 2 hours or so. And, you know, people could say that's not a good excuse, but I can tell you it's a little harder to wake up when you, but I'm slowly getting back into that. I'm waking up earlier. So, but I would say waking up early generally is the best answer to that. You know, whether it's kids, whether it's work, whether it's whatever, if you can get up early and kind of take that time to yourself, set some goals, write down things you learned from the day before, maybe some things you want to accomplish that day. I like to get a workout in the morning if at all possible. That's by far, that's been huge for me. And that seems counterproductive, right? It's like you're going to get less sleep and then you're going to do a bunch of stuff that doesn't get your work done. You're going to do personal growth reading. You're going to work out. You're going to write down goals. You're going to meditate. Like, why would you do that? Now you still have all your work. But it's amazing how more structured you can feel, how more energetic and like driven you can feel because you have it in your head. If I sit down and I write out a goal in the morning, one of my goals is to spend more time with my kids. That makes that 1:30 sluggish feeling way less sluggish, if you will, because I'm like, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for everything else. So yeah, writing down goals, waking up early and taking some time to yourself. That's huge.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. What about favorite book or book you're currently reading?
So I just started a book club actually with some different business owners and whatnot. I haven't started this yet, but it's called Sizing People Up. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Well, neither have I.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to jump into. I think it sounds great. It's just basically how to build rapport with a person. That's what I got from the cover and doing my research. But that's what I'll be starting. Kind of answers your previous question, but The Miracle Morning was huge too.
Yeah.
Al Elrod, you just got to read that. Whether you follow his exact script or not, just getting the importance down of what's important in the morning. That was a huge book for me.
Yeah, I love it. Well, what about, is there any place our Monumental listeners can follow you or reach out to you or connect with you?
Yeah. Parkaveinvesting.com is our website. Feel free to go on there. It's a great website. Kind of let you know a little about me and Colin and kind of our approach to things. I had said mentorwithchris.com, but that's for people who are interested in, perhaps some type of coaching or mentorship. And then that partneringchecklist.com. I think that's huge too. That gives you a list of things. It's a free report. It's not like you have to do anything, but just look at the suggestions on there. And I think it's important. It's helped us grow to do these. These are things we've implemented over the years. LinkedIn, Chris Pomerleau, Bigger Pockets, Chris at parkaveinvesting.com. I'm everywhere. So I'm happy to connect with anyone. I'm always interested in talking shop with people, whether it's personal development, real estate development, anything.
Guys, take Chris up on this. Chris is just adding massive value. He's also just blowing it up lately. 600 units in 3 years is massively impressive while having the law practice
Thanks,
and raising a family. it's very impressive. So I love it. I love what you're doing. Guys, make sure to check out Chris. Also, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure to let us know, tag both of us on social media, tag the episode, let us know, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Instagram, share it on whatever platform works for you. We want to know. And with that, guys, have a monumental day.